Okay, here's this week's update on the mokai. We're not on the water, I can tell you that much. I put my bump in the hull, and the shiny spot's cleaned off there, and it's pretty damn close. I think that I'm not sure, but when I look inside here, this Tilden Tildenson carburetor, it's really close. My idea was to come off with like a radiator hose of some type and then strap it to the wall here, and so it could wiggle, and then come up and you'd have the air cleaner right about here, and the exhaust on this versus the 190 is over on this side of the motor versus the other side. I ended up with plenty of clearance, it looks like, the valve cover and stuff. Actually, I'm probably going to look at this video so I can see this myself. Let's see. Kind of nice to see what I got going on down here. At any rate, I'm thinking I might heat this up just a smidge more and push the hull out right here. And all I used for the hull is, hold on one second, I actually just used this, and I just put it in there, and I took that tire rim and I put the rim inside so it fit from the top to the bottom to spread the load out, and then I used this car jack and I just pushed it into the, well, you can see the mark, into this 4x6, and if you see the correlations from the holes for the bracket on the back to here, it's only like 2 inches or so to the corner there, and I just laid it in there and just pushed it. And I used a heater. I just laid the heater against the side here and let it blow on the hull for about an hour. You can't melt it, that's for sure. And then I started twisting in some tension, and I took the heat gun and just ran around the outside line, and it sank in. It took longer than I thought, but I probably didn't use nearly as much heat as I could have. This is the first time I've warped the hull. What else? That's pretty much it. And I've got the feet on the motor now and just slid into place. And then if you're wondering why my clutch looks different than everybody else's, I had Tom put a pulley on here, and mine will have a car alternator that sits up here. I'm using a little Geo Metro alternator, and there'll be a belt up here with an adjuster on it, and then I'll have a 30 or 40 amp charging system. But besides that, it's looking pretty good. I've got my Mokai Voyager windshield on here, which I think is, God, I think it's about the best design I've seen so far. Not a big fan of the snowmobile ones, but Mokai, he makes a hell of a windshield, and it's so neat because it comes off so easily. You can just take it, you just pop it apart, and literally just like that, and the other side, and you have it off in a half a second and put it right back on. And I should have pulled it all the way off because it was about 1 second away from being off. But and the cool thing is you can take it and lay it inside the craft and then put your cover on when you go to trailer it away, and you're in pretty good shape. And then obviously I have my X-Wing, and I'm getting ready to install my autopilot. I don't know if I put an update on there last week. I figured out how to hook the autopilot up, which is really easy and really lucky. So I got the autopilot here. This is an st1000 raymarine. So this is like the very cheapest autopilot you buy for a sailboat, the very least expensive. It'll mount back here. I'll put an aluminum plate down here and drill a hole through it, and then they just put this pin on the boat inside a little bronze bushing. So I'll put that in there, and then this rod has a stroke of almost 10 inches. I think it's 9.75 or 9 3/8. Anyhow, right through here, there's a pin on this side that they hook up on a sailboat. They've got a little a little dowel pin you shove in there. Real simple. Hold on one second. Let me turn my radio down. I got Pandora playing. It's a little loud.
I would have brought my...
Okay. I'm not sure if the camera picked that up or not, but I can hear all that noise in my ear. At any rate, so they have a pin that just goes in there, and you just drill a hole in your rudder or your tiller on your sailboat. At any rate, I'm going to drill that all the way through, and this will unscrew too. You could break different ends, but I'm going to drill it all the way through, and then I'll screw onto my Teleflex cable. I can't remember what they're called, but those hitch pin deals, I think it is, and then a clevis pin that goes through. So it screws onto the cable, goes across here, you can put a pin on it. So then you can unhook it and take it off if you want. Or I'm not 100% sure how the override works on it. I don't know if I have to unpin it so I can run without it and then pin it when I want it. I'm not clear on that yet. But at any rate, then the cable will pass forward down into the hole somewhere right in here, and it'll go around the front of the boat, back around the boat. Oh, I'm terrible with this camera. And then it'll come up and it'll grab that end of the foot pedal, which just happens to have just a smidge more stroke than I need. So then when this thing goes full all the way, it's not banging against the stops that I put in the system, and it should virtually be perfect. So I'll take the steering back out of it. I'll weld a 1/4-inch stainless bolt on the end of that, maybe a couple inches long, and then I'll put the eyelet on there, and I can run a nut down, and that'll stroke all the way through here. And going to the front and coming back just gives me the ability to dive the cable down. So when I come around, I can strap it down towards the nose and come straight at the foot pedal, and that'll just make it perfect. I wasn't initially going to try to dive down and grab the foot pedal on this side, but you end up with some weirdo angle to make that happen, and it just didn't seem very professional. What else? No, that's pretty much it. I put before I had my X-Wing on here, I had my windshield mounted on here, a little bit that much farther back. So I just get that relocated, and still have to mount the GPS that drives the autopilot. It'll drive on its own internal compass, but obviously if you want it to follow a route, you need a GPS. And then, I got a ton of work to do. I was going to say that I need to build a wiring harness, but there's so much more. I haven't even built the fish tower yet. I've got the metal bent up over there for a couple, 2 or 3 of them, but need to put one on there and get the HID lights mounted, and the Cabela boxes, the ammo boxes. I'm sure I put this in a video before, but they'll sit back here. There'll be 8 of them. I don't know if you can see that, but and then the hood will still hinge. It's just it'll have a tower like a regular boat has. And then let me see if I can put my hand in here so you can see. So it'll have a fish tower that goes up, and then to triangulate it, to give it some strength, it'll come back here to the outside here, and it's going to attach up here in this corner. So then that will give me a platform to come in here with a bar across here, and then the bar will kind of come out and down the middle too. Again, this will open and close freely, but it'll give me a shelf. And out here on the shelf, then I'll put these Cabela ammo boxes. Let's see if you can see that. They'll actually hang out, well, inside the hull, but they'll be right there, and there'll be 2 of those on each side. And then they stack perfectly on top of each other. And then I'll stack 2 more on top. And a 1-gallon gas can fits in these things perfect. They're only $9.95. They're O-ring sealed. They're really actually cool. Well, but they've got an O-ring for seal. They're for ammo. But a gallon gas can fits in them. I actually have another project going that I'm using them for a gas can too. But you can see that The gas can fits in there quite nicely. And then what you do is you take your gas can, go up to Lowe's, and buy. Oh, somebody threw it away. I'm gonna be pissed. I had the part number laying here. The package. Oh, I don't want to cut somebody's hand off. All right, here it is. The Briggs & Stratton. Well, you can't read it. It's a 397974S. It's a gas cap for a 3.5 to 6.75 horsepower motor. At any rate, that gas cap is the only one that I found that threads onto these new Blitz gas cans that have the California bullshit on them for the filler. And when you put that on, there's got a nice little silicone O-ring inside it. You put that on there, that's sealed up. And then you put it in the lid and close it, and then you can put that California thing. I don't even know where we put ours. It's gotta be laying here somewhere. Anyhow, you can throw all that inside there with it, but then it's flush so the lid closes, and it's only like $4. But yeah, so I'll put one or two of those on there. I imagine probably at least one if I went on a long trip. Maybe I'd put food or something in them, and then I would put a 5-gallon can, you know, strapped to the back here. Or I've got a rack that I'm building that goes on the front that, oh, you know what? I'll show that really quick here. God damn it, I gotta clean the floor up here. Oh, you know what? The piece for the jig is laying here. So, imagine there's a rack here that's up a couple, 2 or 3 inches or whatever, and it's bolted down at like 3 different spots on it. I guess 5 points, 1 in the middle, 2 on each side over here. And then the bar follows the windshield around, and then there's just cross tubes that go across, just like a rack would be like on the back of an old MGB or something, or not sure where. And then that'll be on there. And then bolted through with some fairly good sized fender washers on both sides through the little stubs here that I've got. So it's, if you can imagine, and then you can imagine having enough hands to hold all this shit. But anyhow, so on this, that'll get welded on there, and then a big fender washer gets welded on here with a nut inside there, and or excuse me, with a bolt inside there. So then all you have to do is to put this on there, you'll just lower the rack on with like a dab of grease on the end of all 5 bolts. And when it's in position, just let it touch. And then I'll mark where you drill the hole through. And then just go up underneath and put a fender washer and a nylock and run it up and tighten it up. Then we've got some, you know, pretty good size fender washers all the way around it to carry the load. And then I was going to weld a little tow hook on the front here, a little round piece to grab it to tow it. I figure 5 attachment points with that many square inches bolted through the hull would be a nice strong place. And then eventually we'll want it to come up. It'll have enough height that the anchor will pull up through here and the arm will be out in there when you pull it up from the cockpit side, kind of like what Tom did. I would come down maybe with a pulley that comes around and brings you down here. And so it just comes up and locks, so you can just drop it. It's probably a mushroom or something. Some kind of an anchor that just almost impossible to get stuck, a round ball or something. And then obviously I've already installed the LED nav lights and stuff a long time ago. And anything else? And then if you're looking for mirrors, I think those are mirrors for oh, you have to go back and look at one of my old videos, but they're all plastic, and it's hard to find an all plastic mirror actually. And those are they're actually mounted upside down. What are they off of? A Ninja, I think. A 2005 Ninja. You know, they're really cheap on eBay. And then that's pretty much. Oh, and then I don't know where everybody buys their batteries, but I have an account with Interstate Batteries, and this battery is $85. It's a 22 amp hour battery. I bought that online on eBay from Chrome Battery, which seems to be all over eBay. But it was half the price with free shipping, so it was like 44 bucks. I thought that was a screaming deal. I was going to go with a 9 amp because Tom told me he was having his worked perfect, and that's what normally would be behind one of these motors with a pressure washer or something. But I wanted to be able to pull up on the beach maybe and leave my lights on for a little while, maybe because I like to cruise at nighttime. I could run up on a beach. I'll have my fish tower up here, and it'll have I've got two big HID lights. And what's cool about these lights are the ballasts are all internal and they're all stainless steel. And they're only like 35 bucks a piece out of China. I bought them last year. But it's just the power. You don't have to play or hide the HID ballast box. But those are like as bright as like a brand new Mercedes or all the new cars have HIDs. But they only pull 3 amps. It just happens that the stock charging system on this thing pulls some ungodly amount of power. And or it doesn't pull enough power. So one of those lights that just kill that charging system. So that's why I'm going with an alternator. And then I've got these really nice bright, these are, can't remember, but these are really bright LEDs, huge. And I'm thinking about putting them in for on the beach. I was thinking about mounting them somewhere like on the side of the craft. Like drilling them through so they stick out, but not where they could hit a dock. I'm not even sure, maybe inside here or something. But the idea was if I had a switch where I could turn the left side or the right side on, I could drag the boat up on shore because I play on the salt water. So with it being on the, there's the old motor. If I got somewhere, I could just grab my rope or grab the handle, drag it up out of the tidal area, so it doesn't, so I don't have to worry about it floating away or having an anchor on it. But I could pull it up, grab my tent and all my gear out of there, and well, there's my chair. And what was I going to say? Oh, and then I could just like turn it sideways, even use it for a wind block, and sleep next to it or something, and be able to turn the LED lights on out here and light the area up without draining the battery away. Plus, I put my my pull start back on. I took it off and I changed my mind and put it back on. And to come up with a little more airflow in here, I put spacers and washers in here, and you can see the gap now right here. So I'm hoping that that's enough air flowing through on that side and that side. And if it's not, these little holes you see right here, they're all over it. I'm going to go through and cut each group of those out so they're just completely open holes. And then it'll just leave the webbing that holds the outside bearing for the pull start. And then basically this just hooks back up to my pull start here and pull start here, and Honda and LaFan and everybody, since they all steal each other's patents, it all just happens to hook up. That's not where my electric start's going to go. That just happens to be where it comes on the factory on this motor. So I'm going to throw that whole unit away, and I'm going to run it up, and I'll put a sealed switch in and a 3-way toggle for ignition on, spring loaded to start, back to ignition on to run, and then back into the first position for shut off. And what else? I think that's pretty much it. What would be another good update? I put the seat in here. I bought this over at, I bought this on eBay. But it looks like the same exact one as at Cabela's. And I got that, and I put this in. There we go. Yeah, I haven't even cleaned it out in there, but get a little storage compartment. And yeah, that's pretty much that. Yeah. The seat goes back in, and foot steering obviously, and obviously the microphone for the radio, which is nice because I believe this is a microphone and a speaker, and a microphone and a speaker, so you should be able to hear that pretty good. And then of course the X-Wing. I recommend everybody should buy an X-Wing. You can just throw so much crap at this machine without messing with the machine. And then you've got, if this was on a true kayak, they'd put a voltmeter in here, and then inside here you'd open this up, and you'd put probably like a 9 amp battery in there, and that would run your depth sounder, and maybe some navigational lights if you're out fishing and paddling around. I haven't decided if I'm going to put anything in there because it's going to get full of wires and stuff for running everything. But that is the that's where I'm at right now, and you know, I've come a long ways, but I haven't worked on it all that much. Putting a few hours in every weekend is barely cutting it. But hopefully as January comes around and we start getting some cold, non-rainy days, I'll be here and there. Maybe I can get it out on the water and get it checked out and tested out. And then I'm still not 100% on this exhaust. I'm really thinking maybe just going straight up here and just putting the whole muffler up on the outside. I might even just do it on a spring ball clamp, like a ultralight would or a snowmobile, so you can just grab the springs when it's cooled off and pop them off, or I'm not sure. It'd be nice to be able to open and close this thing without having to deal with the exhaust. The old exhaust system, or the first aftermarket system I built, came across and came up here and then went out, and it still opened over because it did a 90 right there. And I'm probably going to end up back there anyhow because I don't want to cut my tower up here anymore. It just seems like a lot of shaking and shit. But since I've got an alternator that's going to be here, you know, maybe I can come up off the. I got to build some kind of bracket, or maybe I'll just take some. I don't know. You got to build brackets to hold that exhaust so it doesn't break off. But maybe I'll just get overkill and come up around every. I got to put a bracket on here for the alternator anyhow. Maybe I'll tag off of it and leave myself a bolt here and run some straps up. So 2 there, strap here, and come back out here and shit just back. I might just mount some kind of a muffler. I was really, my old one ended right here with a muffler. You know, it came out 90 and it ended, and I thought it was too loud. I got a video of it, but I'm not totally opposed to coming out and then coming down here and like going to this point and this point and coming up with some metal brackets and coming down and you know, getting enough distance on them so they don't melt the plastic. But probably 2 or 3 inches is probably plenty, especially with water spray and stuff. But coming down, and then a short piece of like 3 or 4 inch silicone hose on the end of the pipe that goes into the water, so when you go across something, the hose just drags up out of the way and stuff. Mostly probably when it's like getting put on the trailer, it's just not in the way. But this is truly underwater right here all the time anyhow. So maybe you could just come down here flush and just cut the pipe off on an angle. You know what? I should look at a picture of it in the water. I probably could just end it like right down here and then just cut it off. And then when you get in it, it's just underwater. But ultimately, the exhaust is going to get dumped in the water, or I'm going to build a water exhaust. I don't see any particular reason to treat it like a riding lawnmower. Oh shoot, that's 23 minutes of video. It'll take me forever to get that up onto YouTube. Alright, happy boating, guys. And if you want to build a hovercraft, here's where that starts. That's the bottom section of the hull. Fun, fun, fun.